After years overseas, I've learned something. The difference between an average trip and an unforgettable one usually comes down to one thing: information. Not money, not luck, but information. You see, I've landed in cities around the world where Google sent me to straight dead spots.
They what?
Travel blogs and YouTube videos were out of date, and every AI bot kept giving me the same generic internet answers. But then I run into a local or another passport bro, and suddenly the entire trip changed. I'm talking about the hidden rooftop bar packed with locals, the beach tourists haven't discovered yet, the restaurant with no marketing but a line out the door, the neighborhood everybody told you to avoid until someone who actually lives there showed you otherwise. The after-hour spots that never show up on Google, and the experiences that turn a good trip into a story you will be telling for years. This kind of information you usually only get from being connected. That's when it hit me. The best travel information isn't on the internet. It's inside the heads of people actually out there living it every day. That's what Passport Bros AI is built on. Knowledge contributed by over 30,000 travelers around the world. From Brazil to Thailand, from Colombia to Kazakhstan.
Welcome to Thailand.
ChatGPT said this was the hottest spot in town. Jeffrey, where the real hot spot at?
37 Passport Bros recommend Saruta nightclub. Best nights are Friday and Saturday.
Even I've uploaded my own experiences into his AI brain. Because when you land in a foreign country, you don't need another AI searching old web pages. You need information from people who were there just last week, last night, maybe even right now. Passport Bros AI, powered by 30,000 real travelers. Don't land clueless. Download Passport Bros AI today. All right, family. We are live. Welcome to another show. Hope all is well with the family. We in here, man. We got a lot to discuss today. Hope you guys are all well. I know most of you guys are on the East Coast. So it's Friday, what is that? Friday night, kind of late night, Friday night, man. Hopefully you got your next trip booked up out of the States. All right. You're not on no, expensive ass, corny dates, spending your money, spending your vacation money, man. You know how it is in the Matrix. So hope all is well. Let's see who we got in the chat, man, because we got a lot to discuss tonight. We got a lot. We got hella information for you guys tonight, man. Some shocking information at that. All right, let's see who's all in the building, man. We got my man Aaron Malone in the building. Got Mr. Dacus, the navigator, already in the building. Let's go. All right. What up, Iman Perry, always in there. Salute my man Kevin Romes. He's also a member. Shout out to you. My man Kevin Romes. Like I said, man, hope all is well. Guys, do me a favor when you get in the room. Make sure you hit that like button, man. What up? What's going on, Azrael? We got you in the building. What's good? One of my mods. Shout out to you, man. Listen, man. What I was thinking, even before I started this show, I was like, man, it was traveling, I would say pre-2022 was a beautiful thing, especially as an intelligent Black man. All right. It almost seemed like we had something to ourselves. The thing about being an intelligent brother, man, it's like we kind of like the outcasts of our so-called communities. I don't really think we have a community personally. I think we got neighborhoods because you got to actually own the businesses within the community, all right, and the social politics of the community to actually say it's your community. And I know we just say our community because everybody else say their community. But in general, I would say that, growing up, for the most part, a lot of brothers that either went to college or went to school, got a trade or something, got a skill, a CDL or something. Never really just, and a lot of us kind of, might have played with the streets and all that. Most of us are not street dudes for the most part. All right. But, that kind of gives us kind of like that outcast to a certain degree of the community that we come from. Right. And when I first started traveling, I started connecting with more brothers that were kind of on my mindset, more like the intelligent brothers. Like it was a certain class of Black men that you would run into in these countries like, Rio and, Medellin and stuff like that, right? Even Thailand, you would run into like a certain class of brother and you're like, okay, this is just us. Like, I see that, only us is disseminating information, to a certain type of black man. But fast forward in 2026, the new thing, all right, the new, every couple of years it's something new, within our little culture and everything that's kind of popping. It was social media, it's content creation, but now it's travel. It's travel. Like, the secret is out. People are not going to Miami like that no more. They're not going to Myrtle Beach like they used to. All right. The young kids still do because they ain't got no money. But for the guys who actually have, some form of wealth, not even wealth, I don't understand wealth, like have some type of resources to kind of, dispose on vacation, they going overseas now. Black men and black women going overseas, and they're all types. And unfortunately, and shout out to my man Flyboy Wade, he was on Richie Max. He was just saying, we can't really gatekeep this. And he's right. Despite, our efforts to kind of keep certain, information within our own community with the private Facebook groups, the Passport Bros app, it still kind of got out there, not necessarily because of us, but because more of the, sneak camera YouTubers, the content creators, the shorts and everything is bringing more so of that crowd, is attracting that crowd that we try to get away from. But for the most part, now 2026 is the thing to do. Traveling. All right. Traveling. What up, Dakota Jenkins, $2 super chat. Somebody said they could have filmed this trip in Atlanta. What up, Passport Blueprint? What's good? What's good, brother? Shout out to you for the $2 super chat, man. I really appreciate that. He said they could have filmed that trash in Atlanta. Yes, they could have. All right. So let's go ahead and get to it. I was going to wait till a few more people come in the room. But let's get on. Let's go ahead and get on to it. All right. Some of you guys can catch the playback. Now, let me pull this up. Before we get to all this stuff, because we got a lot to talk about. Before we get to this, this is the show in question here. Now, I know a lot of you guys, hold on. I know a lot of you gentlemen don't pay attention to this type of bullshit. Hold on, let me pull it up again. All right. I posted this in the Black Man Travels Facebook group. Let me see if I can click on it and zoom in on a little bit more. And like I say, man, I know most brothers don't pay any attention to this bullshit right here. But what's kind of like, surprising is the fact that they're actually having this show in Colombia. All right. And if you guys have never heard of Baddies Going Wild and Bad Boys, okay, they've been doing shows for a couple of years now. I believe they got a couple of seasons in the can, and this is the most degenerate, okay, the most disgusting content anybody could distribute, all right, about any black person's image. Okay, the majority of cast members on both sides are black and white, okay, and all black. And it's like the down bottom of the down bottom, the lost of the lost. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, just imagine, just finding the worst elements of a society and putting it on TV. This is what this is. If you're not familiar with the Zeus network, this is what the type of content that they make. Okay. This is not MTV, the Real World, where it's kind of creative and interesting to a certain degree. They got different, types of individuals. They don't necessarily try to stereotype, people. This right here, and it's crazy because it's by a black man, all right, who supposedly went to some type of, I guess, a strong religious background. I don't know how you can put this out and feel comfortable with himself. I'm going to show you some of the allegations in a moment. Yes, there are allegations against him. We're going to show that in a moment. Shout out to my man, Political Flacco, for exposing this guy. But there takes not even 2% of talent to make and produce this type of show. Okay, it is totally easy. Listen, I got a background in film and production. Listen, I was, from working in that industry for almost 20 years, I was even offered a show right before I left for Colombia, right before I left the country, right? I was offered a show similar to this on TBS, all right? Because I was, working, off and on with TBS throughout the years. And, instead of me, I pitched a show, which was like more of a fictional scripted show. Okay, it was more so like, like kind of like a black, not necessarily horror, but if you watch Black Mirror, it was similar to that, where we had myself and different other writers, would write like 45-minute pretty much episodes, and in each episode it would be like, a different show with different characters and everything like that, right? I did a show called Sinful Deeds, basically, and that actually premiered at the Nappy. Now that attracted some guys, in the corporate world. They said, hey man, we like how you put that together, because I put a pilot episode together. I wrote it. It was well produced and everything like that. And they end up offering me a show to produce. And I guess, before you kind of get any real traction in, I guess you want to say Hollywood, even now, I don't necessarily consider TBS Hollywood, but before you get any real traction, if you guys don't know this, more or less you would like work on a project that somebody already has in motion, that's already be green lighted, not only so you can learn, but also you can help in that show being successful. So I was offered a show, right, to be a key producer on one of the shows, and it was like an LGBT show, right? And a person I was working with for years, she's LGBT, shout out to her, she was real cool. And she was like, the head producer of the show, and she wanted me to assist her. And just morally, I couldn't do it, because I knew it was going to be times where I would have to be in the editing booth or something like that, not booth, but editing bay. And I have to look at, the content. Like, you got to really digest the content. And I just didn't want to have nothing to do with it. So I turned it down. I turned it down right before I left for Colombia. And the interesting thing was, I had way more trajectory in that industry way before I had it in this travel space. Like, I might have had like 2,000, 3,000 subs, not even that many. I think when I first moved to Colombia, I might have had like 3,000 subs or something like that. But I was just so excited about this new space we call travel. Now, fast forward, we got 50 guys in the room. Guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. Now, fast forward, because those worlds were separate for me, right? Those worlds were completely separate. Nobody that I used to work with knew anything about me traveling or anything like that. I never mentioned anything about the DR, Colombia. Those were two separate worlds, right? But fast forward in 2026, now those worlds have blend to a certain degree. And keep in mind, like, I wasn't going to work on no Zeus type network or nothing like that. This was actually TBS, and the show actually never even premiered. I don't think it ever got. I think they did like maybe 2, 3 highly produced shows. It just didn't work out. They didn't know what it took, which I knew what it took, but they didn't know what it took to make a show like that successful. It was supposed to be like more so like the clashy version of the LGBT life in Atlanta. Right? But people don't really want to see that. People want to see shit like, unfortunately, this crap. So if you don't got people fighting, throwing balls at each other in the clubs and shit like that, then unfortunately that show is not going to survive. Okay? But anyways, fast forward to 2026. We got the Zeus network, all right, doing a show in Colombia, and I'm going to assume it's Cartagena, right? Now they're doing the auditions in Atlanta. They've already done the auditions. All right, in Atlanta. And they're basically going to film the show in Colombia. And like I said before, more or less, I'm thinking Cartagena. I seriously doubt it's going to be Medellin. It might be Medellin, but it's just more things to do, in my opinion, than Cartagena. All right. All right, let me get this troll out of here real quick. Hold on, family. Get your ass up out of here. So before I even get to some of the allegations from the guy who's, the producer of this show or the owner of this show, let me just give you guys, hold on, let me just remove this. Just the gist of what goes on in these shows. I know most of you guys probably not going to be too familiar with it. All right. Here we go. I'm not sure which one this is, but hold on, let's see. Fair use, YouTube, fair use.
Questions later. Anybody trigger me? You already know I'm coming.
Now, this is the previous season that they filmed in the Dominican Republic. Oh, disgusting, man. Sorry I had to see that.
You kind of snapped at me. What was up with that?
Okay, can I talk to you for real? I told you to mind your motherfucking business.
Don't hit me because next time I'm punch you in your mouth.
You didn't even run the cabbie, so how you gonna come in the house and
Because
you
he
run
claims an easy pay.
But it's not.
Landon said something to you?
Just want to address them now. No.
You standing on business.
Yeah, this dude's going to be in Cartagena, Colombia. Can you believe it, guys? Can you imagine running to one of these motherfuckers while you're in your travels? Like, I would never, ever imagine that it'd be people like this amongst us in these foreign circles, man. This shit is just terrible.
Yeah.
Even if we go out and we squabbling, I'm gonna squabble with you. Beat the fuck out that big blockhead, baby. Don't do it to him. But a lot of niggas be playing. I'm not playing, bro.
You a pussy, and it's shown. Everybody know I'm not pussy.
I mean,
obviously
hey.
you upset. If we not gonna be together, let's just not be
fuck
together.
you.
Okay.
Die.
You don't do that to nobody that you say you cool with.
But I told you I already felt like he didn't like
That's not
you.
no excuse.
All right, let's get through some of this shit. Let's get to this is basically, out of all that, this is basically the gist of the show. Fight.
So you want to run it?
Yeah, we can. Let's run it. You are not
2D
a bad
fight.
boy.
I already respect you and talk to you like an adult.
Prove that you a bad boy.
Jack really be saying smart shit. He asking for it.
All right. So that's the guy's version of it. Yeah, it's totally LGBT, basically. Not there's anything wrong with that. In my Seinfeld words. All right, not there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, that's going to be going down, exported, to a neighborhood near you in Colombia. All right, a bunch of cameras, a bunch of guys walking around. Now, knowing how they usually produce a show, all the locations are probably locked in. I mean, they already did the paperwork and everything. If they cast it, they plan on filming here. So most is going to be controlled locations. But just the locals seeing this, like just the image, that was like, it's like we was like shaping our own image in Colombia, right? They got to see, for the most part, in the previous years, to everybody, going down to Cartagena and Medellin, they got to see a certain class of the black man. Like guys like me, got like Andre Crossing the border. Shout out to my man Andre. All right, Travelversity, like they got to see a certain class of brother out there. Brothers that got their shit together. Brothers that ain't no bullshit, no pookieism or anything like that. And now it's like now they're going to see the worst elements of our society, whether it be film or scripted or not. The locals will see this, and guess what? If they're filming, all right, and guys are socializing, just by them being in those areas, this will be seen on Instagrams and Facebooks and social media, because everybody watches all around the world, right? And they're going to see this and see these clips and everything like that, and it's just going to be just detrimental possibly to our image, possibly. Okay. Now this is the female side of it. The female side of it is even worse. Okay, so you got two separate shows that's going to be filming at the same time. Like I said before, in my opinion, it's probably going to be in Cartagena, Colombia, because there's no way they're going to do this in Medellin. I don't think Medellin would even tolerate no shit like this, personally. All right. This is the other one. This is the girl side. The girl side, of course, is even worse. Somebody said, all right. You say zesty niggas in Medellin. They're gonna be so lonely in Colombia. They're gonna be lonely as hell in Colombia. They're not gonna get no type of play in Colombia, bro. Not at all. The local men don't give a damn about you know, them being so-called reality stars, okay?
For me, please. I can fly, desafío total. Como lo hago, parece robotica. I'm crazy, baby, don't even.
It's like a whole bunch of goddamn hyenas. A whole bunch of goddamn.
Try you cannot taste me, speak of this Action.
And I'm not calling black women hyenas, by the way, for somebody trying to clip that shit.
You know, she want to get her lick back for the bloody nose.
I was giving you that work before that bloody nose.
Okay, it is what it is.
Who is she to get my attention? You know what I mean? Miss Germany.
Was y'all like just trying to gang up on me?
Nobody ganging up on you.
It felt like that.
When nobody ganging up on you. God damn, she got a deep ass voice.
I can't
I
laugh
just
around
felt like
this bitch.
I don't give a fuck what you think, though, bitch. I ain't get in the field, bitch. Who ain't getting in the field? You don't do nothing but be drunk all day, bitch.
I just don't understand how people would even watch this shit. It's just amazing what people would just, you know, ingest in their mind. This shit is horrible.
I was you, Lexi. You smell like that, bitch. Don't you feel no sister, dick? Looking at me.
Who touched my makeup is what I'm saying.
Where was it?
I guess we.
Why didn't they just film this shit down? We're gonna break this down too. Like, why didn't they just keep this in America? Like, what is the purpose of going to Colombia and filming this bullshit?
You don't have to run it.
Okay. Feel some type of way? Do you feel some type of way? When I want to address something. Question. And I just told you my answer, bitch.
Look at the motherfucking devil.
You sell it to truck drivers. Somebody down.
Oh, that's enough. That's enough. I mean, come on, man. Come on, bro. Like, I don't even know. Does migration know about this? Like, do they know the type of content that these people are going to be making? You know, I know Colombia, you know, they're trying to change a lot of that, you know, the image of Colombia. The president just even came out with a statement and said that they need to review Americans a little bit harder and maybe even change some of the policies as far as entry. Because, you know, we arrived to Colombia visa-free, basically. And he was just saying, you know, and DC-born Rob, corny ass, totally blew that shit out of proportion. Like he always do in his fear-mongering videos, by the way. But the president was just like, man, we need to, you know, we might need to, you know, review some of these Americans that's coming in a little bit harder. Like maybe we need to limit some of their, you know, their time here because you get 60 days. Basically, you get 6 months visa-free in Colombia, 3 months, and then you can get another 3-month extension. It's very, you know, pretty simple too. You just fill out some paperwork, you get another additional 3 months. But now the president is saying that, you know, they're going to kind of crack down because before, you know, you could stay in Colombia a couple of years and just pay a little exit fee at the end, and they'll let you right back in. Now everything has changed. They're kind of cracking down on immigration a whole lot more, you know, via what the president is saying. So I don't even understand like how they got clearances to even do this type of content in there. Like, I don't even know why they would want this in their fucking country. You know, if anybody needs to be, you know, screened and banned or denied entry, it will be every single producer and cast member of this show, right? That's who needs to be, you know, deemed undesirable and not have entry into Colombia. But like I said before, the fact that they already, you know, and I'm pretty sure that they just, you know, renting like some of these nice mansions and locations. The people didn't look into the prices. The producers usually do everything secretly. Okay, they just do everything secretly. They might get some security or some shit for the most part. But I don't even think they even know that they're producing this show. Now, it comes to ask the question, why Colombia? Why Dominican Republic? Right? Why are they exporting this BS overseas? Let's find out. Let's find out what's going on with this Zeus network. All right. Let me get some of this bullshit. I couldn't even watch 5 seconds of that. What up, Brandon Clark? I see you, brother. What's up? What's up? All right.
The CEO of the Zeus Network.
All right. So this is the CEO. He look a little crackish to me, personally. I don't know. I kind of can recognize a crack baby when I see one. You know what I'm saying? But he look a little crackish. The buddy like about maybe 110 pounds at most, with a big ass, long ass head.
The CEO of the Zeus Network, Lemmy, is being accused of some really terrible things, including attempted murder, trafficking of women, among other things. And he's being accused by no other than Jocelyn Hernandez, who we know from reality TV. And she also had her own show on the Zeus Network.
Fair use, YouTube, fair use.
But she parted ways and started her own network. Now, Jocelyn took to Instagram the other day to make these allegations against Lemmy. Jocelyn posted this on her Twitter, but instead of writing the tweet and clicking post, she wrote the tweet and then screenshotted the draft and posted it. She would write, "Stopping my payments because I have my own streaming app and I wanted more for my life."
Okay, we can skip through that. Basically, all she was, claiming is that some business didn't work out between them. All right, that's basically the gist of what she's saying. But she goes on to say, hold on. Let's see. She actually goes on to make some serious accusations. Okay, here we go.
Paying me, I'm gonna start airing out the business.
You want to go into your little story talking about the cabaret girls? Let the cabaret girls get their money. Who cares? Who cares? If I walked away from the cabaret because I want to have a baby, why the cabaret girls can go on the other show? They supposed to get their money. They supposed to survive. They supposed to thrive out here. I never said one word about that. You're a cap. You're a liar. And you running a sting over there. You right now, you're a Diddy Jr., and you get all these girls to beat up each other for an extra amount of money that's not even in the contract. Your producers are going around telling each girl, "Oh, hit her, hit that one, go attack that one. We got an extra 10,000, we got an extra 20,000." You're evil. Everybody knows it. You're an evil man. You're an evil person. Everybody over there condoning your network is going to go down with you. You're foolish. And Surviving Zeus Network, I already got 3 calls today with just happened at Baddies. You're getting girls attacked. You're getting girls blooded up and beat up.
Zeus Network is a cesspool of degeneracy, and that's no secret. So to convince me that any one of these women are somehow victims, you have a high burden of proof here, bro.
Actually, you don't. That's what Political Flacco. Shout out to him. I like his channel and his content. He makes a lot of good, valid points. But in this one, he's wrong. Brother, you are in the United States of America. I know you're African and everything. Maybe you keep up with all our, news and everything. But if you don't know, if it's women, first of all, if you're a successful brother at that, right? You got a little, status like he does, and you got women that will put a case together. All right, they will extort your ass. They only need the accusation. You only need about 3 or 4 women, okay? 3 or 4 women to convince, them to come get you, bro. And they will come get you. And even if you win, they're going to drag you through the courts. That's the whole purpose. So he can't take these allegations too lightly, bro. You're paying people to fight each other and everything like that. Like I say, that's not no type of NDA you can sign to assault somebody. Assault is technically illegal, and you're promoting that. You're projecting that on people. You're giving people I don't think she's lying. I think she's telling the dead ass truth. Because what else would possess you to fight on a national fucking TV show and get your ass whooped? But money. There's only one thing, and I know in general on working on sets that producers do all types of shit. Like the producer is the puppet master behind everything. Okay, like 90 Day Fiance. All this shit is scripted, by the way. What would generally happen is they'll say, okay, we're not hitting our beats. This is not, this is boring, basically. We got to get some fights. We got to get some arguments. We got to change some storyline. We got to do something. They do it right there on the go. And they'll say, all right, you got a problem with this person. What if I give you a little cash underneath the table to, maybe just rough them up or just kind of physically accost them? And the security will be right there. So it's not like y'all gonna really get into it, but we'll clip it and everything to make it seem like, you won or they won, to keep the storyline going, right? Don't worry. The security gonna be right there, so you won't get, physically hurt or nobody. And if you do get hurt, we'll pay for everything, right? By the way, here goes the extra 15,000. Here goes the extra 10,000. Because them cats ain't really getting paid no real money from the show. They're getting the exposure so they can get social media influence, followers, basically. So they're not really getting paid, but maybe like a per diem, paid for food, stuff like that. Maybe a little salary, 20, 30,000. So if you think about it, you can get way more money if you just be the most ratchet person on the show. right? If you got 4-5 fights and they're giving you 15,000, 10,000 a fight, you just got another extra 60-something thousand, right? This can be brought up in court. Like, these are some serious ass allegations on him. All right. So in my opinion, you know, outside of maybe it's cheaper to shoot in Colombia, which is another reason I think they chose Colombia, because the locations and the sets, all right, is overall the production is going to be much cheaper than you doing it in a city like Atlanta, DC, and New York, because you want a location not to be Columbia, South Carolina or something like that. You want the location to be a popular city. So now you're bringing the worst light possible on Cartagena, Colombia, or Medellin, Colombia. It's going to be one of those two. I think it's going to be Cartagena. But you're bringing the worst type of attention onto Colombia, which will attract the lowest cesspool individual, unfortunately, to these cities. All right? Shout out to my man, Corny _Hub. He says, keep up the good work, BMT. Number one in the space, man. I really appreciate that. And I also appreciate that super chat. Okay. So I think it's a combination of both. I think they're losing in the ratings, so they want the profit margin to be higher by going to a cheaper city. But I also think he feels like he got the block hot on him. He got allegations on him. And that's all you need in the United States of America. All right. The allegations is going to be enough. All right. And then on top of that, you know, you going into a space that you're not familiar with, buddy. All right. What would happen if something happened to one of those cast members down there in Colombia that's on your watch, basically, Lemmy? That's another question I would have to ask you. Like, what would happen if one of your cast members, and I know most of your cast members are fruity, but just, you know, what if one of them dudes kind of step out at the clock tower, all right, and, you know, did something strange for a piece of change, or got somebody to do something strange for a piece of change? That's exported sex tourism. That's sex trafficking, buddy. All right. These are things maybe your lawyer didn't tell you or wanted to tell you. So, I mean, it's a ton of liabilities with this right here. There's a ton of liabilities in there. If one of those girls, all right, in that show, Bad Girls or, you know, Baddies, what's the shit called again? Hold on. All right, hold on. What's it called again? All right, Baddies Going Wild in Colombia. Do you know if one of those girls decide to sleep either with a cast member or a local, and that local or that cast member does anything transactional, that is an exporting of sex trafficking, by the way. And looking at those type of girls that he has on the show, you know, they definitely seem like the type. They definitely seem like the type. All right. Now, can you imagine these girls or some of these guys being in some of the same spaces? Because they're going to go out off camera. They're not going to just stay in the house when they're in Colombia. They're going to definitely go off camera. You know, the cameras might be rolling. They might get a day off or something where the camera's not rolling. So you're going to see these motherfuckers in some of your favorite spots, 100%. 100%. All right, he got some more allegations. Let's get to it. Hold on. He got some more allegations. She on his ass, really. All right. She on him. And like I said, you know, I know you're probably thinking like, oh, it's just Jocelyn Hernandez. She's, you know, she's kind of cracked out. She's kind of crazy. It doesn't matter in the United States whatsoever. All right. If you got money and the lawyers on the other side know you got money and this guy, you know, allegedly has a lot of money, they would drag you through the ringer just by the allegations alone. That's the way the system is set up, especially for a black man.
Woman, you're sending threats to my phone. You have people calling my phone, making threats to my phone, and I'm fear for my life. You're making threats to my phone, Lemuel Plummer. I fear for my life. You're an evil man, and I'm fearing for my life. And I'm going live just in case I get my car shot up in Miami, where I'm at. Because I'm in Miami, and I know you be in Miami all the time. And every time you come to Miami, you me. And you didn't think I would let the world know how you being acting like a predator while I'm pregnant. It's gonna come to light what you've been doing to people.
Did she just say? Well, did she just say what I think she said? She said that every time they go to Miami, he smashes her, basically. You know, that's why I think they bleeped out. Oh, this is bad for him. This is super bad for him, for Buddy. They coming for him. They gonna come for him. Especially if he's kind of like, you know, trying to inject or, you know, empower his influence or his position onto the girls in order to get sexual relations. This is what she's claiming.
Been doing to young ladies. You harass every female on your network.
What up, Kevin Johnson?
Not just me, you harass Janisha, Scotty. How many times have you beat up Janisha? How many times have you beat up Scotty? How many times have you beat up those baddies? How many times have you paid these people off for them not to take you to court? You're not gonna get away with it, Lemmy.
There's two things working against Lemmy and Zeus Network right now. Jocelyn was a higher up at the Zeus Network. Jocelyn's show was wildly successful. She had a lot of pull in the network. Two, she was one of the first shows. So she's been there for a very long time. And she has probably acquired a lot of receipts and a lot of secrets. And she's already saying, yo, people are coming forward wanting to expose Zeus. Now, when you do business like Zeus and you employ and fire a lot of people, what you do is you have a lot of people who got a vendetta against you. Even if you did nothing, you got a long line of people who will lie and say you did something.
Facts. I want to stop it right there. Shout out to Political Flacco. I don't want, you guys can watch the full video on his channel. But he's 100% right in that assessment, in my opinion. All right. Even if he didn't do nothing, and I think it's, you know, me personally, you know, just knowing the type of people that he's surrounding himself with in order to shoot this content, I don't think he's 100% innocent, personally. All right. You got those type of promiscuous girls all around. You got money. You know, it just kind of comes with the territory, in my opinion. Not saying that he did anything he didn't, but the fact that those allegations are out there would hurt him tremendously, guys. It will hurt him tremendously. So maybe this is the reason. And we're going to play what he has to say in a second, just to give it some balance, all right? I don't want to just show you the allegations and not see, you know, show him, you know, how he responded. But just in general, this could be one of the reasons he decided to export this bullshit overseas, okay? I got another comment here by my man, Cortez Smith. Shout out to you, brother. We can't ignore the obvious. This is about influencing South America. Yeah, unfortunately. I remember, man, you know, before we get to his response, I remember when there was a fight, some brothers fighting. Were they about to fight or fights in Parque Ayers? There's two American brothers. They were about to, I don't know if they got into it. I think they scrapped a little bit, but it was funny, man, because all the girls in Parque Ayers kind of surrounded, and they were just like, you know, they was like, yeah, you know, we in the hood, Joe. Like, you know, they were trying to speak a little English and everything. And I was just like, damn, we just so influential, but in a wrong way, basically. Because they was like, they was pretty much like, okay, this is it. We finally get to see, you know, how hood or gangster Black Americans are, like the movies. You know, it was like 6 or 7 girls. They was like cheering it on, like, yeah, fight, you know, speaking English and shit. So we are influential, unfortunately. You know, sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes that could be in the worst way. Somebody says deeper than him, he's just a face. I know. I think Mayweather was one of his key investors to put everything together, but he does have a background. His parents are actually came from the video TV industry as well. That's why he, you know, had all the proper connections to be able to do this. All right, where is it at? Where did he respond to? Let me see. I might have missed his response. Hold on. Okay, here we go. This is what his response was.
Existed a day in my life. I don't threaten people.
All right, this is the guy right here.
I don't threaten people. It's never existed a day in my life. I don't threaten people physically. You know, you accuse me of being a predator. You accuse me of abuse physically, emotionally, mentally, and even said that I'm sex trafficking women, which is so egregious. It's so ridiculous. And it's completely false. So the fact that you are saying these things is very hurtful in a real way because it just does not exist.
The one strike against Jocelyn is the fact that she's saying this while trying to get Lemmy to pay her, while they're in a dispute.
I don't agree with that at all. It doesn't matter in the Matrix, bro. It doesn't matter. Once the lawyers get a hold of this and they know they can drain this guy of resources, they can charge for, $1,000 an hour and shit. They want to put you in right through the ringer. So it doesn't matter, bro. As long as she's female, and it's a black male on the other side of that in the United States, they will utilize her. All right. They will utilize her as a weapon against a black male who has resources. So that's where political Flacco, like I said, I agree with some of the stuff, some stuff I don't. I just don't think he just doesn't really know how easy it is to put allegations on a man, especially when dealing with that type of content. When they pull up in the court, the type of content that this guy, makes basically with this network that he produces, some people are going to have a huge issue with that, depending on where they're at. They're going to have a big issue with that, because he's promoting some of the most horrific stereotypes about black people. Okay, so in my opinion, she's going to get the court on her side. She's a woman. She's crying. All right, she's making allegations. She can get other women to support her, which she will, knowing the type of content that he made, like Political Flacco stated. Okay, you got 2-3 women who don't like you already. They got beat up on your goddamn show. All right, they got embarrassed, basically. They're gonna just mention, he tried to sleep with me, he tried to do this to me, he tried to do this to me. And they're gonna run through the ringer. All right. Shout out my man Brady Clark. He says, correct, Mayweather invested in him. Right. And you know what, man? This is so sad, man. Well, it's not really sad. But if you look at the type of content, right, that makes this so popular, it's usually black men, bro. Like, it's a black man behind this show that's invested probably millions of dollars into this show so he can make money, so he can trick his money off, all right? That's basically all he's doing. Like, he doesn't mind ruining the image of his own community long as he makes some money so he can trick off on some girls, basically, all right? But then another thing, there was a producer, another young black male, he recently passed away, a music producer that produced all of Sexy Red's hits, all right? He produced all of Sexy Red's hits, all the hit songs, all right, were produced by a young black guy, young brother, all right? And he passed away. He passed away broke. That little ratchet hoe never paid him $1. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Hold on, let me see if I can pull that shit up. And the reason I'm saying this shit is because brothers got to understand, right? I know we want to get money. We want to get as much money as possible. We need it. Money is a very valuable resource that you have to have. But you guys going to get enough of selling out your own community. You projecting, all right? Even some of the producers behind all that gangster rap and shit, all right? The guys that's actually making the songs, the actual producers behind it, right? Because you really bobbing your head to the music more than what he actually saying, all right? All these guys, man, they are pretty much the hidden hand behind the wall of some of the most dumbest, egregious, images of Black America, in my opinion. But let me see if I can find that real quick. Sexy Red producer dies. Let me see if I can find that real quick. All right. Yeah, so Tay Keith, I know you probably heard some of the tags. Tay Keith, hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, he passed away at 29 years old. All right, this dude didn't get paid not $1 from any of those hit songs from this ratchet ass chick. I don't know why he thought he would. All right, ain't no hood rat gonna pay your ass. You produced all them hit songs, all right, influencing our little girls, our little daughters to be this nasty ass heifer right here, this disgusting, herpes carrier. Okay, and then you didn't even get no money from it. Passed away broke. right? Passed away, bro. Unfortunate. Rest in peace to him. But like I said before, I know we try to get money in this space. Listen, man, there was a stat that just came out that said for the first time in American history, the black male suicide rate, all right, is actually up higher than white males committing suicide. Let me see if I can pull that up. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull that up. Give me a second. Get this off screen. And I'm not saying he died by suicide. I don't really know how he passed away, but rest in peace to him. Okay. Let me pull this up real quick. But this is truly sad, man, because growing up, it wasn't really, for us to do that. We kind of hung in there. All right. A lot of our success might be delayed. Okay, let me see if I can, where is it at? I know Atlanta. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to pull the Instagram. No, Atlanta Black Star did this. Hold on. Listen, I'm not saying that he died, bro. I'm saying that he didn't get no money from that hood rat. All right. Suicide rates among young black men are rising. Experts highlight a growing mental health crisis. This is truly sad, man. Life is hard for brothers. I won't deny that. We can't deny that. That's why I think it's so important, because there's a different element of the passport bro space that, generally a lot of people don't talk about, right? Because when I left the States, not actually when I left, but when I was looking at solutions, all right, to the issues that were kind of plaguing us, and rest in peace, I found out about Charles Tyler and travel. I feel like that kind of saved my life. Not to say I was going to commit suicide, but I was frustrated. I was frustrated about a lot of things, about the police brutality, all right, about, just all types of stuff, about the neighborhood being bad, about the dating. It was a list of things that I was frustrated about, all right, before I started traveling seriously. And I think that's one of the things that we just don't discuss, right? Like traveling could actually save your life. I remember being in Brazil at the Christ Redeemer in 2017 with my man Terrence. All right, shout out to him. And, we just kind of just going up the mountain, going up to the Christ Redeemer, and it both just hit us. Just being in a new environment, taking a break from all the hustle and bustle and race, baiting and race wars, media wars, gender wars. Everything is just kind of just intensified 10x when you scroll on social media. You need a social media bath sometimes, bro. All right, some police shooting, some, death, some, Karen. It's just too much, bro, too much. And it's just beautiful to be able to take a break from that. And that's why, seeing the wrong elements, because when you go overseas, I know when I first got to Medellin, I was treated really well, bro. I won't deny that. I will not deny that. I was treated really well when I first arrived in Medellin by the locals, by the Venezuelans, by the Paisas, bro. I remember I had an old lady in the bodega at the bottom of my building, and I lived in Patio Benito. That's about maybe like a 20, 30 minute, not even 30, about 20-minute walk from Calle Diaz. And she was a former school teacher, Spanish teacher in America. And she treated me really nice. She taught me Spanish. All right. She just told me a lot of information. She treated me like I was one of her own. One of her own. I remember one time I had left my pesos upstairs. I was like, okay, let me go get it. She was like, nah, you good. You live here. Just whenever you get it, you can run a tab, whatever. I'm like, no, I want to run a tab now. I got the money, but I just forgot. Let me go upstairs and get it, and which I did. But to me, when somebody allows you to owe them, because I'm a foreigner, I could leave the country tomorrow. But when somebody opens up their door and, and greets you in and say, hey, man, you live here, whatever, you can come downstairs and just grab some stuff and go back upstairs. You're good for it. We're just right in our little ledger or something like that. To me, that means the locals are really welcoming you in. There was a hostel across the street, and Venezuelans, they was in the hostel. They were working in the hostel. And some of them spoke English, And they really, really treat us well. Shout out to my man Jay Clyde and my man Grego. We would have great times just hanging out at the hostels. If anybody know anything about Medellin, they know the hostel unit is like the place to kind of hang out at during the day because there's not much to do in Medellin during the day. So, meeting the locals and everything, they really welcomed us in. Now, I don't know if that's the same. Fast forward 6-7 years later, and it's so much back and forth about the gringos in Medellin. We gentrifying Medellin, allegations of foreigners in Medellin. Now, I don't know if the vibe is still the same, unfortunately. All right. Speaking on this, hold on, I'm gonna show something real quick. Let me play this. Guys, we got 63 in the room. Do me a favor, hit that like button for your boy. Now, this is coming out of Cartagena. I want you guys to kind of check this out. I'm going to break this down. Hold on. Oh, it won't play. That sucks. I don't know why it won't play. Hold on. This is an important video. Why it won't play? Hold on. Let me see if I can figure out a way. I might have to bring this up. I don't know why it's saved on a different codec. Usually I can just play. All right, let me see if I got TikTok pulled up. I might can find it on TikTok. Give me a second, family. I don't know if I'm logged in on this browser. But basically, okay, what was it? Okay, yeah, let me see if I can find it. Out here. Passport graffiti. Okay. I just had to pull it up. Here we go. Hold on. Let me take this off screen for a second. I want you guys seeing. Log in. Okay, let's see if we can find it. Which one is it? Shout out to Passport Graffiti. Yeah, dope TikTok. Which one is it? Let me find it real quick, family. I had the video pulled up, but it's not playing. Which one is it? I think it's this one. Okay, it's not that one. Where's this shit at? Oh, he got one of my spots, Mercado del Rio up on it. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. All right.
We all wake up the next day. Like, what the fuck, and everything just cleaned up in the house down there at Airbnb.
What's up, guys? So we got another drugging and robbing, but this time it is in Cartagena. So we listen and we don't judge. Talking to you. So one of my followers that reached out to me, they met these girls around the clock tower area around 7 or 8 o'clock. Now, they took these girls back to their Airbnb. Next thing I remember, they woke up and stuff was missing. Now, they did have some of their accounts drained. I want to say in total, it was about 50K lost between the total of them, but they did recover some. I'm going to put the IDs of these women up on the screen. If you plan on going to Cartagena, feel free to screenshot them or share them with other groups. He did say somehow the police did catch these girls after they left the Airbnb. I guess they were walking around with a bag full of stuff. He also said that once they went to the police station, that there were a lot of police officers there, that they were laughing. He feels as if they were potentially in on this crime in some way. I am going to post the police report here. It will be in Spanish, so feel free to try to translate it if you need to. Pause for that. So lastly here, if you are going to be coming to Colombia, and I know a lot of you feel like don't go to Colombia anymore. As I always say, Colombia is not the problem. If you are going to come here for a certain type of entertainment, go to establishments that can host and that provide this type of entertainment. You guys all know what I mean. And stop going and trying to meet women on the street or on dating apps. This is
I'll wake up the next day.
After they left the Airbnb.
I'll wake up the next day.
Okay. All right, let's break this down. So it looked like some guys with their clock tower grabbed some girls up. All right. Lucky it was about like a little, maybe like they're trying to have a little party because it's about 5 girls, and they drugged everybody. All right. And not the victim blame here, but goddamn. They drug like 5. They had to drug like 5, 6 dudes because it was 5, 6 girls, basically. So they drugged the whole entire party. That happens quite a bit. But the interesting thing is what the guy said further in the video. He said that they felt like the police here was actually in on it, and not to allegedly, but I've always said this. I said, hey man, breaking into phones isn't necessarily easy. The average person can't really unlock your phone like that. But guess who can unlock your phone? All right. Law enforcement uses a certain website that they have access to that only law enforcement is supposed to have access to unlock your phone. All right. It's called Cellbrite, and it can get into your phone. They plug it in. They can get into your phone. All right. Law enforcement uses this all over the world. And they can crack into your phone and get into all your accounts. So if his feeling was the fact that he felt like they possibly was in on it, yeah, I've always said that. I've always said that I don't think the average criminal in Colombia, can, unlock a phone like that. It has to be some type of agency that somebody works for that's actually, unlocking these phones. And $50,000 between 4 or 5 people, that's a lot of money. They basically drained all their accounts. Okay. So something you just want to keep mindful of that. And you got this, this reality show going down there. And I know they're not abreast of none of this shit. They just gonna go out there and parlay like that because they don't look at information. They, fruity bandits and hood rats. They don't look at shit. That's why I used to do reaction videos of them always getting robbed because the girls are just as much dangerous as the guys out there. And one thing I don't agree with, and shout out to Passport Graffiti, you guys can follow him on TikTok. But one thing I don't agree with, because I've heard so many stories, is the fact that you only have to be participating in a certain activity to get drugged and robbed in Colombia. That couldn't be further from the truth. All right. I know locals. I know old women that have gotten drugged and robbed in Colombia, bro. I know women that was walking down the street and somebody asked them for directions and they blew that scopolamine dust right in their goddamn face. All right. One of the guys that used to be a host at the hostel that we used to go to in Poblado all the time. All right. He got scoped. All right. He walked out of the store and saw somebody that he knew, like a friend of a friend, basically, that he loosely knew, and she asked for a ride. And he was like, oh, okay, you want to ride? All right, where you going to the street? Okay, cool. We both Pisces, no problem. You know what I'm saying? Gets her in the car, drives maybe a couple of miles on the way to her direction, blanks out, falls out, wakes up, everything gone, wallet gone, money gone, cell phone gone, right? She scoped him at some point in the car, where she offered him a little soda or drink or something. As a matter of fact, when you go to the electronics mall, not the one at the bottom of Diaz, but it's another electronics mall in Central, right? Now, my DJ homeboy, he was looking for a laptop because his laptop that crashed with all his music on it. So I went down there with him, all right, in the middle of Central to this electronics mall, quote unquote, this electronics mall, all right? And he was looking at different laptops and stuff like that. And one of the owners of the store offered us, a drink. He offered us some juice or something like that, right? Because he was looking into buying this laptop from the guy, and I think he ended up buying one of the laptops. And I went, like normal. Oh, you offered me a drink. Oh, thank you. Gracias. I grabbed the drink. I started to almost drink it, and he kind of like stops me, right? He holds his hand. He's like, kind of like on the low, not to be rude to the people, but he was just like, hey, And then we walked out of the shop, and he was like, hey, because my man French, he was like, hey, don't ever accept a drink from anybody, you know what I'm saying, in Colombia that you don't know. All right, because those drinks could have been laced. We could have drunk those drinks and fell out 5 feet away and got drugged into the corner and got drugged and robbed. They would have dropped us off somewhere in the middle of Central. We wouldn't have known what happened. We would have known what hit us. All right, so that's the thing. I don't necessarily agree that you just have to particularly, and I know guys have been living in Colombia for decades that had no issues. Okay, I get that part of the game too, but you just got to be careful in general. Anytime you meet somebody that you don't know in Colombia, I want to put that out there because some guys really do think that, if I just don't participate in the nightlife type stuff, I'm good. Colombia is safe. No, it isn't. It's not safe for even the locals out there. All right. What we got going on in the chat now? Let me catch up to the chat. Yeah, they enjoyed the whole team. They enjoyed everybody. It was they went out. This happens quite often, Brandon. You know that. You know that, brother. Somebody say no live taking at least. Hey, now this is the part that's important. What I'm about to show. Shout out to my man Jay Rass in the building, man. Shout out to you, bro. Moving safely all throughout Medellin. Shout out to you, bro. I miss Medellin. I can't wait to come back. When I come back, coming back with my wife though. But shout out to you, brother. I can't wait to link up with you, man. I want you to meet my wife and everything like that. Okay? But I want to say this. Hold on real quick. Before we go, if you already haven't downloaded, all right? If you already haven't downloaded the Passport Bros app, it is now Passport Bros AI. Let me play some of this right here. I'm super excited to announce this. All right, it's been out for a couple of weeks now. We're still getting everything processed, and it's still technically beta mode right now, but everything is working. All right, we totally revamped the app. It's still a community, all right, but at the top of the community is the ultimate AI travel assistant in Jeffrey AI. Okay, let me go back to the top real quick. All right, so this is Jeffrey AI. You can ask it anything about travel. This is not data from just the internet. This is actually the information of 30,000, all right, of us, well travelers, well veteran travelers. We was able to get information. I want to give a shout out to my man, Andre from Love Crossing Borders. Let me see if I got him up on the screen. Hold on. Let me pull my man Andre up. All right. He was able to upload, a PDF from his consultation. His PDF was great, man. It was like 30 pages. Matter of fact, let me pull up the PDF too. All right. He uploaded it to Jeffrey AI because you can upload a PDF and it scans the PDF. All right. And it gives you all the information from somebody that's actually been living there for almost 10 years. That's the difference between any AI bot. We know it's got ChatGPT and stuff like that. But I remember I was in Vietnam and Da Nang. I was Googling, I was ChatGPTing, and it didn't find me anything. All right. It found me an empty little hip hop club, one little club, and it was dead as hell. But I ran to a guy that lived in Da Nang, Vietnam. He took us to the most popping club, all right, in Da Nang. Believe it or not, you got Brazilians in there and everything like that, Brazilian women, women from Bulgaria, Vietnamese women, all types in this club bar. I should have played it, but all types, bro. And I took that information that I know, and I also inserted the Jeffrey AI, man. So this is a great, all right, app. Guys, make sure to download it. The link is in the description. Yeah, it's important. It's important. But I'm going to tell you why it's even more so important. All right. We have a safety feature on this as well. All right. It's not live just yet, but it will be live probably this week where you can actually enter, all right, a picture of, somebody maybe questionable as you're dating overseas. I'm just going to say overseas. We got Passport Bro Reels too. All right. It's my ex-girlfriend right there, by the way. All right. But you can enter a picture of them and it will actually do its research to see if she has any questionable allegations. All right. Over the years, we've compiled a list of, information as far as different women that drug. We don't care if it offends anybody. We don't give a damn. All right. The information will be uploaded to Jeffrey AI sometime this week. All right. Some of the information is already in there. And you can take a picture or you can upload a picture and they'll say, hey, this woman is known to do this and do that. You might want to avoid her. All right. So I put it on mute there. One of my guys in Cali, Colombia. All right. Cali, Colombia going live. Okay. On the app. Okay. He just parlaying in the middle of the street in Cali, Colombia. That was a nice one right there. Okay. All right. So we got all types of activity on the app, man. We got guys going live in Kazakhstan. All right. I got a brother on the app. I think he's in Nepal or something. He recently got married in Nepal. He had the little the dress and everything. It was crazy, man. He up in the mountains with the goats and shit. Black men are traveling, bro. Passport Bros, we all over the world. So if you guys want to join the community, all right, link is in the description. The link is in the description. Before we go, make sure to download the Passport Bros AI app. Okay, available in Google Play and in Apple, family. Yeah, we totally revamped it, man. We totally revamped the app. Right? We totally revamped the app. My man out there at a mall. It's one of them things, it's funny, man, because I know when you travel, sometimes you don't really necessarily have an itinerary like that. You just kind of just exploring, going with the flow. But one of the things I like to do when I touch down is either go to the National Museum or go to the mall. You know what I'm saying? Not to necessarily shop, just to kind of get out of the house and kind of see where you at, man. Like Baddies got like 3 malls that I like to go to, walk around, stuff like that. What was it? Of course, you got malls. What was it? I forgot the name of the mall, Electronics Mall, because I'm like a little tech head. I'm always looking at different electronics, But I used to go, there's Electronics Mall in Medellin. I think I forgot the name of that mall. Maybe you guys can remember that mall at the end of Diaz. But I go there and just check out the different electronics and everything like that. And the electronic game is kind of suspect in South America. That's why I kind of prefer Thailand. You buy some electronics here, they're going to be good. They're going to last for a long time. You buy some electronics in South America somewhere, listen, they be like Chinese knockoffs right in the middle of the mall. All right? Right. Oh, yeah, Monterey Mall. One of my favorite malls to go to, man. But guys, that's been a show, great show, man. Hope you guys got some good information. Hey, man, be careful in your travels. And unfortunately, as far as the subject at hand here, listen, it's out there now. The hood is on travel mode. The hood got passports now. And this show isn't going to help it. But to leave it on a positive note, I don't think it's going to really affect anything too much outside of the tourist areas. All right, outside of the tourist areas. It's refreshing to go to places like Da Nang, even Phnom Penh, where there's not a lot of tourists there yet. All right, because the locals still kind of interact with you with, being genuine. They like foreigners. They like, getting to know people from different countries and stuff like that, man. So that's the good thing about that, man. Go to some different countries, man. That's what I suggest. Travel the whole entire world. I think I'm like, what is it, like 15 or 13 countries in? I want to get to 100. All right. There's excitement and nightlife outside of Colombia. Just keep that in mind as well. I call some of my friends SAT, South American travels, because that's all they do is go to South America. They just go to Colombia and Brazil. That's it. All right. But that's still traveling, man. So shout out to them as well. All right. So guys, it's been an excellent show. Hopefully you guys got some information. One more time, I want to thank my man Andre from Love Crossing Borders one more time, man. Like I say, matter of fact, let me see if I can pull up the PDF that he sent. Is that under, I don't know if that's under, okay, yeah, slides and PDFs. It don't let me pull up. Okay, hold on. I don't want to just pull up the whole, where is that shit at? Is it Intel? Okay, I didn't find, where is it at? Okay, it won't pull up. It won't pull up. However, just keep in mind that it was a very detailed place. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can find it here on the desktop. But Andre had so much information on there, fellas. He had places to stay, the right clubs to go to, the right restaurants to go to. All right, he had it was like 25 pages. As a matter of fact, it was so much information we had to separate it before we put it in the index of Jeffrey AI, because it was so much good information. So I really want to thank my man Andre Love Crossing Borders. I'm gonna get other content creators, other guys that travel a lot to keep uploading information. We already got a ton of information already on Jeffrey AI, but we're gonna keep bringing this to like one of the most massive AI indexes ever. Okay, this is one of the most massive indexes ever. All right, we out. Peace. Oh yeah. Oh, where we at?
Welcome to Thailand.
ChatGPT said this was the hottest spot in town. Jeffrey, where the real hot spot at?
37 passport bros recommend Saruta nightclub. Best nights.
Oh boy, look at her. She said she want to come over tonight. Bro, do you even know her? Nope. You talked to her before? Nope. You met her? You met her before? Nope. Let's do a bad chica check. A what?
I recommend additional caution. Potential risk detected. Multiple traveler warnings have been associated with this profile. Several community members reported negative experiences after meeting this individual. My recommendation, verify identity, meet only in public, and proceed with caution.